Chapter 65:18. Although it was snowing heavily, Ethan was already waiting here in person. As soon as the two got off the plane, they saw him coming forward and said, Mr. Wade, I have already said hello to the Cultural Relics Department. We can go there now. Charlie said respectfully, Grandpa son, thank you for your trouble. Ethan said, Mr. Wade is too polite. This is all part of my job. Ethan was very grateful to Charlie. Even if Charlie did not let Maria speak and asked him for help directly, he would definitely not refuse. Then, a convoy of 3 vehicles drove quickly towards the suburbs of Eastcliff City. However, what Charlie did not expect was that the 4-sided treasure tower was not stored in the Cultural Relics Department, but in the station of the city's suburbs garrison. The main reason for placing it in the garrison was that the 4-sided treasure tower was too precious. To some extent, it was at the same level as Qin Shi Huang's imperial seal. In many fields such as history and academia, it can be regarded as the top cultural relic of the country. In addition, there is another highly confidential reason. That is, the relevant departments hold the mentality of believing it is better to believe it than not to believe it, and want to verify whether the 4-sided treasure pagoda can bless the country's destiny. When Charlie and Maria drove through the camp and came to the core building, Ethan whispered to them, the 4-sided treasure pagoda is stored in the underground bunker. There is an order that the 4-sided treasure pagoda must not leave the bunker. So if you want to see it, you can only go down. Charlie nodded and said, everything is subject to your arrangements. Since Ethan had said hello, and the higher-ups also knew that the 4-sided treasure pagoda was sent back by Charlie, so he wanted to see the 4-sided treasure pagoda. The soldiers guarding the scene did not check too much and let them into the building. At this time, a military representative came over, saluted Ethan, and said respectfully, Mr. Sun, I have been designated by the higher-ups to accompany you and the 2 guests throughout the trip. Ethan nodded and asked him, is there anyone downstairs? Yes. The representative said, we have soldiers guarding downstairs 24 hours a day. Usually, there are some cultural relics experts and metaphysical masters who come to do research, but they have left at this time and will not come back until 7 o'clock in the morning. As he said that, the man opened the only elevator for them to enter and exit the underground bunker and invited them in. After Charlie entered the elevator, he found that in addition to the first floor, there were 3 buttons, B3, B2, and B1. So, this suggested that the underground bunker should have 3 floors. The representative pressed B3 on the elevator, and the elevator quickly and steadily drove down until it stopped at the bottom. After coming out of the elevator, the military representative led the 3 people to a completely sealed room with only 1 safe door. The entire room was wrapped in a hard steel shell. In order to ensure that everything was safe, there was no ventilation duct inside. There were only 2 air vents on the safe door, 1 in and 1 out. The air vents were a bunch of small holes less than 1 centimeter thick that were specially opened on the heavy metal door. With this hole spacing, only mosquitoes could get in. Outside the door, there were several soldiers with live ammunition guarding. Their task was to keep their eyes on the 4-sided treasure tower when there were people inside, and to guard the door tightly when there were no people inside to ensure that no one without approval was allowed in. Moreover, these guards themselves did not have the keys and passwords. The representative kept the keys and passwords. If he came to open the door and go in, these soldiers had to follow him in and strictly protect the 4-sided treasure tower. Before the door was opened, Charlie paid close attention to his sea of consciousness. Previously, a large amount of spiritual energy disappeared from his sea of consciousness, which made him suspect that the thing that absorbed his spiritual energy was probably hidden in his sea of consciousness. But he could not detect it. He felt that if the thing in his sea of consciousness was really related to the 4-sided treasure tower, then when he returned to the 4-sided treasure tower, that thing would definitely have some connection with the 4-sided treasure tower. As the sound of verification was sounded, the heavy metal door slowly opened outward. At this moment, The four-sided treasure tower was quietly placed on a pedestal about 1.2 meters high in the center of the vault. When Charlie stepped toward the four-sided treasure tower, he felt a faint stirring in the depths of his sea of consciousness, as if a big fish was swimming and turning carefully under the calm water. At this moment, he was certain that there was indeed an unknown thing in his sea of consciousness, and it must be related to the four-sided treasure tower.